Good evening. I'm Erin Burnett. Out front tonight, the breaking news. Trump has a new pick for Attorney General tonight. 6 hours after Matt Gaetz suddenly withdrew his nomination, Trump has a new choice. That is the former Florida Attorney General and longtime ally Pam Bondi. Certainly raises the question of whether maybe this was the plan all the way along. Maybe this was just to get Matt Gaetz out of Congress without an ethics report coming out. We'll see. But meanwhile, only 6 hours did it take for Trump to write online just moments ago, quote, Pam will refocus the DOJ to its intended purpose of fighting crime and making America safe again. I have known Pam for many years. She is smart and tough and is an America First fighter who will do a terrific job as Attorney General. Now, of course, Bondi has been a very successful fighter for Trump. In the 2020 election, she was on the front lines pushing Trump's election lies. She said, quote, we've won Pennsylvania and we want every vote to be counted in a fair way. Of course, he did not win Pennsylvania. During Trump's criminal trial in New York, she was one of his top defenders.
This is just one big press conference trying to smear Donald Trump, trying to hurt Donald Trump. The gag order is completely illegal.
Bondi also making it clear she is on the exact same page as Trump when it comes to his claim that the Justice Department has been politicized.
When Republicans take back the White House, and we will be back in there in 18 months or less, you know what's going to happen? The Department of Justice, the prosecutors will be prosecuted, the bad ones. The investigators will be investigated because the deep state, last term for President Trump, they were hiding in the shadows. But now they have a spotlight on them, and they can all be investigated, and the House needs to be cleaned out.
I mean, that is as clear as it gets. That is where she stands. That is what Trump wants. She was also, though, very present on the campaign trail this year. She was a staple, joining Trump at campaign rallies across the country. And as I mentioned, her nomination came in just 6 hours after Gaetz dropped out. Meantime, just a few moments ago, Gaetz posted, I look forward to continuing to fight to save our country, just maybe from a different post. A different post. Important word. Sources telling CNN that Trump himself is the one who called Gaetz this morning to let him know he didn't have the votes to be confirmed. Now, we understand that Trump did not ask Gaetz to drop out, despite the serious allegations involving statutory rape and sexual misconduct. In a shocking turn of events, though, I mean, just 24 hours ago, Gaetz showed no signs he was stepping down.
Moving on, folks have been very supportive. They've been saying we're going to get a fair process. So it's a great day of momentum for the Trump-Vance administration.
We were told Trump was standing by his staunch ally, full stop, and that sources close to the president-elect were optimistic. But then reality struck. Around 11:30 this morning, our Paula Reed reached out to Matt Gaetz's team. She had new reporting that there was a second alleged sexual encounter between the Republican and a 17-year-old. So his team asked for an hour to respond to Paula's reporting. They never did respond. Minutes before she was about to go on CNN to break her news, Gaetz issued this statement, quote, there is no time to waste on a needlessly protracted Washington scuffle. Thus, I'll be withdrawing my name from consideration to serve as Attorney General. Now, this was a major setback for Trump. I mean, even if he had thought this wasn't going to go through and it was helping Gaetz and getting that ethics committee report to not come out and he had a backup plan of possible Pam Bondi, even if all that is true, he did back him. He did say he wasn't going to step down. And he said he was doing very well, but at the same time did not want to be a distraction for the administration, for which he has much respect. Those are the final words from Gaetz. Sources telling CNN that the president-elect was all in on Gaetz. They had told us that he didn't have someone waiting in the wings. Well, that's a big question, right? So either he was ready on Pam Bondi, ready to go, or he made that decision as quickly as he had made the Gaetz decision. We don't yet know. But we do know that many of Trump's biggest supporters in Congress, like Josh Hawley, were happy Gaetz is out.
My plan is to support all of them. I think they've got momentum. I thought the meeting today with Gaetz went great, and it's full steam ahead.
That was just yesterday, maybe barely over 24 hours ago. Today, here's Hawley.
Well, I'm sure it's the right decision. He feels like it is, and the president feels like it is.
Right decision. Well, Kristen Holmes is out front to begin our coverage near Mar-a-Lago. And Kristen, I was just talking about how one would go in 6 hours from Gaetz to Pam Bondi if you didn't already have something in your head about how this would go. But we just don't know. I know you've been learning more about exactly what happened. What have you found out?
Okay, so we do have some answers. Now, obviously, we don't know if she was waiting in the wings, but we are told that this wasn't quite a surprise, that she had been on the list originally as someone who could potentially pick to be Attorney General. And I am told that almost as soon as Matt Gaetz withdrew his name or told Donald Trump that he was going to be withdrawing his name, Pam Bondi's name started circulating. A source of mine said they first heard about it early afternoon, so roughly an hour after Matt Gaetz withdrew his name, noting that this was circulating fairly wide, that he was likely to pick her and pick her as soon as possible. The thing to keep in mind here is that Donald Trump still believes that Attorney General is the most important position in his administration and in his cabinet. So he wanted to get this done and done as quickly as possible. Despite the fact that there are still other names out there and other positions that are looming, he thought it was most important to get this done. Now, I will also tell you, I've spoken to a number of Republicans, including some of Trump's staunchest allies, who are breathing a sigh of relief. There had been a number of conversations about how exactly this confirmation process was going to go. Trump himself had been briefed on the fact that they didn't think that Gaetz had enough votes, and Trump had said to others, and obviously, as we know now, that he had called Gaetz and said the same thing, but he had admitted to others that he did not think that Gaetz could potentially, at this point, get confirmed in the Senate. When I am talking to these various allies, they are saying she is a solid pick. They believe her chances of getting confirmed are much higher. She also still carries a couple of things that Gaetz did. The same viewpoint about the Department of Justice, talking about dismantling it, how it's been weaponized. Same thing we've heard Donald Trump say over and over again. But also, Aaron, I bet it wasn't that hard for your team to find those clips and find them quickly. Just a reminder, it was just 30 minutes ago that he named them. The reason why is because Pam Bondi likes to go on television, and she's good on television. One of the things that Donald Trump really wanted in an attorney general was a bomb thrower who could go on TV and say his message, effectively communicate. That's what I was told about Matt Gaetz, and that applies here as well. Clearly, we've seen it apply to a number of cabinet positions, but that is part of the reason that he chose her and liked her.
All right. Well, Kristen, thank you very much. All those new details. Let's go to Manu Raju on Capitol Hill. Manu, again, it's been just about a half an hour since we found this out. What's the response so far to the Pam Bondi choice?
Well, silence right now, Aaron. One part because the Senate is now, they have left town for the weekend, so senators will have the weekend to digest this news. And this will become, senators will look at this nomination more favorably, undoubtedly, than the Matt Gaetz nomination. Gaetz came in with heavy baggage. A lot of senators knew Matt Gaetz for the way that he conducted himself on the House side for many years, the way he battled with his colleagues. Of course, those ethics allegations, those investigation that was going on about sexual misconduct and the like, and they wanted nothing to do with Matt Gaetz. They'll look at Pam Bondi much differently with a fresh set of eyes, someone that they will have to assess. Now, that doesn't mean that she definitely will be confirmed, even though her chances are much higher than Matt Gaetz is right off the bat, because senators simply don't know her. They'll have to vet her. They'll have to question her. There will be an exhaustive background check. There will be those hearings that, of course, will be all important early next year. And how does she do in all of that? And will any red flags come up during their vetting process? Those are all will be the big questions. So senators may, while the Trump team believes that she is much more confirmable and she could certainly get the post, that process still needs to take place in the United States Senate, because she's not very well known to these members, and perhaps she'll sail right through, but we'll see. These processes are complicated, and sometimes they can trip people up.
Absolutely. All right, Manu, thank you very much. And everyone's here with me. So, Lulu, 8 years as Attorney General for Florida, outspoken Trump supporter. Trump and his foundation had put a lot of money into her election campaigns. I know our Drew Griffin back in the time had done a lot of reporting on that, and whether that was in any way linked to decisions she then subsequently made as Attorney General. The big question, though, is Lulu, does this, 6 hours, do you think this was basically, in a sense, a backup plan all the way along?
I mean, I don't know if it was a backup plan, but Pam Bondi is a pretty obvious choice for him. She's telegenic. She defends him. She worked on his impeachment trial. She was then at America First Policy Institute overseeing their legal operation there, something that's very allied to Trump. I mean, she's had a very long relationship with him. You just mentioned, I'm a Floridian, and you mentioned that that relationship with Donald Trump. I mean, it was back, I think, in 2013 that he gave money to her campaign, and then apparently there were some questions around actions that she took around Trump University. And so, there's a long, long, long history there between the two of them.